Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, Attention Coach Jeff Copper, and I'm here with Linda Rogley, AD Diva. Linda, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. It's always such a great time to be here.
Well, it's a great time. It's a great person, great company.
I know. Give me a closer hug.
You just penned a chapter of a book that is yet to be published and yet to be named. Mm-hmm. Can you tell us about it a little bit? I want to read into it. Just describe the chapter, and we'll go from there.
Sure. Well, it's a book about ADD and relationships, and it's a professional book. There's been a lot written about it. Well, not a lot, but there's been something written about ADD and relationships for the layperson. This is more for psychologists, psychiatrists, and because we really need to know more about how does ADD affect that relationship, because I know and you know that it affects it dramatically. I was specifically asked to write the chapter about women and ADHD and relationship, and is it any different for women? And the truth is that, yes, it is. Certainly the hormones play an important part in how women deal with their ADD and how often it hits, because that monthly cycle, hormones can really affect ADD symptoms. So when estrogen plummets, ADD symptoms go up, which means in pregnancy, when estrogen levels are pretty high, lots of women have a relief from their ADHD symptoms, which is good because a lot of times they give up their ADD stimulants and things for the benefit of the baby. Also, through nursing, hormones, estrogen is almost nothing during nursing. So even breastfeeding women, after they have the baby, have a lot of trouble with their ADD symptoms. However, one of the other things that I found out after I did a lot of research was that women are actually more impaired than men on every single measure of ADHD issues. More impaired. Let me say that again. Women are more impaired than men on every measure of ADHD symptoms.
That's fascinating.
It is fascinating. And I think that one of the reasons is because it's cultural in part. It's partly because of hormones. And it's partly because of women's socialization issues, which, to be honest with you, what I found out is actually innate rather than learned. I mean, you can blame society, but that's not all of it. And little boys like to be active, so they're more likely to be diagnosed early because they're typical hyperactive thing. Women, when they're younger, when they're girls, tend to be inattentive, and then as they grow up, they tend to be more combined type. Frankly, hormones play a big part in a lot of diagnosis for little girls because they're always the good girl. They're sitting there quietly and everyone thinks they're doing their schoolwork, but unfortunately they're just looking out the window. Then they get caught when they finally get their grades. But usually when they hit puberty and all those hormones start raging, we have the same kind of issues that we have at midlife. And we've talked about things at midlife. So a lot of girls are diagnosed at midlife. Boys' symptoms go down at puberty. Girls go up at puberty. And then remember, too, that we have monthly cycles where that estrogen falls and goes down. So, and Dr. Patricia Quinn thinks that ADD women have worse PMS symptoms than other women. I mean, not to diminish anyone's symptoms, but the symptoms seem to be even more exaggerated. So if you think the sky is falling and Chicken Little is running around, you're not imagining it. And then when that estrogen comes back in, you're all back to normal.
And this chapter and this book is directed towards more clinicians and psychologists and stuff, to educate them a little bit more, to provide a resource for them to help everybody else out there that's impacted by this as well.
And thank goodness, because what do we need more? I mean, whatever we know about this is wonderful, but if our doctors know as much or more than we do, that's when we really get good treatment.
Yeah, and I have to always throw this out there. Imagine yourself being a physician today. With insurance laws and the system the way it is to be in business and to do this stuff, you've got, for lack of a better term, it's a manufacturing line that's kind of going through. I don't like to say that, but the reality is that, and it's hard to keep up with everything that's going on. I mean, frankly, it's an overwhelming job for me to think about. So when what you're doing is writing a book to get out there, and you always write in a fun and pleasing way that makes it easy for everybody to read. So I want to reiterate that doctors are trying the best that they can, but they need education and things like this help out. And I'm sure the way you're going to break this down so that you understand it, it's going to be able, a kindergartner is going to be able to understand it. So even though this is directed to that audience, I got to believe those other people out there will benefit from the book.
Well, I hope you're right. And the truth is that I believe a good writer, which I consider myself to be a good writer, can write any style. You can write formal, you can write casual, you can write anything in between. And so I tried to write really formally and scientifically and academically. And you know what? It just didn't fit me very well. And I decided I'm not going to be funny, but at least I'm going to be casual and I'm going to be conversational. So the book has a couple that is kind of an amalgam of some of the women and men, because I work with couples a lot too, men that I work with, men that I work with, called Rhonda and Joe. And Rhonda and Joe have a really contentious relationship, and they are on the verge of divorce, which unfortunately there's there's some dissension about this, but most people believe that ADHD couples have a higher rate of divorce. They certainly have a higher rate of dissension or contention within the marriage, but sometimes the divorce rate. And what's interesting about that? One more quick statistic before we end. Men with ADHD are more likely to ask for divorces than women with ADHD. 3 times more likely. They're willing to give up faster than women are on the relationship. That doesn't mean the relationship is good, even if they stay together. But isn't that interesting that women are more likely to hang in there
That's
than
fascinating.
men?
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
We
So I
don't-
left you speechless?
No. What I want to describe here is this has been a wealth of information. I'm going to have to go back and listen to this a couple times because you cited some stuff out. It makes some sense. There's a lot of learning here, but I want to reiterate that you as a writer, when I read through Confessions of an AD Diva, the thing about it is you had to break it down at a level that you could understand. And even with the neurotransmitters, and you did a cartoon with that, and you put a name and a face, and it is so smooth that I can't actually say the name of the neurotransmitters. I've got to call serotonin and dopamine.
Can you talk about Nora?
And our favorite norepinephrine.
Okay, good, thank you.
And so I encourage you, even though this book is directed, I'm sure that it's going to be very readable.
It's going to be available, yeah.
Because she's going to break it down a level and probably tell stories in a way, and her stories will deliver scientific messages, I'm sure, through that process.
And there are some of your other favorite authors are involved as well. I mean, Gina Pear is involved, Ari Tuckman. I mean, the people the luminaries in the business. So I felt honored to be invited to participate.
Excellent. Well, I feel honored that you came onto the show. So, Linda,
thank you.
Thanks very much.
One more time. We have to do our kiss.
To learn more about Linda, go to her website at addiva.net. That's
2 Ds, ADDIVA.net, and that gets you to the AD Diva Network for women of that certain age, 40 and better. But, I deal with a few special men, too.
I know you do it in the process because there's couples along the way. So, anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.